Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle is a terrible, illogical cash grab, but somehow grossed almost $1 billion at the box office and has some decent reviews online and a legitimate fan base, and it's getting a sequel for some reason. And, well, let's get on the reasons why this movie sucks, and you could get out of here if you cannot take an opinion that is not yours. Number 1, the film is so unnecessarily extensive. Now, the pacing isn't the worst ever. In comparison to anything else I reviewed, I could say the pacing isn't as bad as something like Justice League, but, well, yeah, it's not like trying to be a really long movie, because it has about 2 hours, kind of like Justice League, but it's not trying to be a really long movie like the Hobbit movies, for example, where a scene of characters eating dinner could be an hour long because Peter Jackson doesn't know what he's doing. But okay, so the reason why this film sucks is that it's just missing so much. But basically the film starts up and it just introduces everybody in the slowest way possible. It's about 20 minutes of unnecessary exposition, and then everyone gets this movie, sucked into the game, and then, whoa, so interesting. Also, due to the fact that this is a Sony movie, there is a crap ton of product placement. Yeah, so look at this scene. They literally just advertised PlayStation 1 like it's 2018. They're still advertising on PlayStation 1. I guess to my demographic, I guess. Why would you be advertising? Also, I guess the console is basically a Famicom, except Sony doesn't own that or weren't around in the video game industry when that came out, so like, it's literally just a Famicom. I just can't not look at that and say, yeah, that's a Famicom, even though it has 4 controllers, but the cartridge is exactly the same, basically. So basically, well, we get introduced to all these characters, and they are horribly miscasted. So basically, the characters are taking on different roles than what you usually wouldn't want them to specifically be. So they nailed visual aspects, but of course they have to act like completely different personalities, except, yeah, like I said, the visual aspects I think they did a good job on, but the way that they specifically perform is just noticeably lacking. I mean, like, yeah, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to get actors that look like something else, but they're doing something that they usually shouldn't do, and in my opinion, I think Jack Black was the only one that had a fun time with this, because he was actually kind of tried, but here, it's just like normal acting. They don't do anything creative with it. Yeah, I get what they're doing, but it just falls flat. Oh yeah, it doesn't help that every character has no personality or unique elements to them that make them stand out and make them memorable characters. Like, after seeing this movie, who's gonna say, oh yeah, this dude was my favorite character, because none of them are likable. They're just all stereotypes, and especially the Gerd phone girl that's just this trapped in the middle-aged man's body. Like, that's just a bunch of stereotypes. Plus, even the character development is very stereotypical. It's like, oh, look, the two of them like each other in the end. Oh no, the Gerd phone girl actually wants to go out on an adventure instead of go Gerd on her phone all the time. Oh wow, that's a really interesting... A lot of people say that they like this film because of the humor. Well, the humor is terrible in my opinion. Now, overall, yeah, it's just throwaway jokes that don't move the storyline anywhere, aren't funny, or just don't make sense. Now, the biggest instance of a joke not making sense is there was a part where, since the Gerd phone girl is in a middle-aged man's body and they have different genitalia, they have to pee for some reason, and then, well, yeah, due to the fact that she's never had that type of genitalia, she doesn't know how to specifically urinate with that. So basically, we get like an entire 2-minute scene, basically, of him teaching her or her, whatever, how to pee, because like it's not even funny. That doesn't even make sense. Like, okay, first of all, your video game characters, and this is a video game that came out in like the 90s, probably. So like, basically, what you're saying is that video game characters need to piss and shit like normal humans. Now, I know that there are video games where you can take piss and shit if you wanted to for some reason. Making a game and your characters need to piss and shit, like that's part of the game, you have to empty that out or whatever. So, yes, apparently these video game characters need to pee. But if you needed to legitimately set this up, yes, you have to set this up. You have to establish your own rules. Why don't you establish this? Okay, now, I can excuse a joke that doesn't make sense. In fact, when he said to the other dude, oh, teach me how, I got a little snicker out of that. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, but it's just a minor thing. But when you're turning it into a 2-minute scene, it's not funny at all. Like, yeah, like I said, I thought that was kind of clever, but then you're just crapping on it. Look, every TV show and movie ever has a joke that doesn't make sense. It's something that's very hard to escape. And yeah, it's very minor as long as it doesn't take much of a film. Now, yeah, that joke didn't make sense, but you're turning into a minute scene. This isn't funny. Yeah, I guess if you're like a grandma or something, no offense to grandmas watching this, but, oh, okay, like, Why? How is this funny? I cannot see the appeal of this. Get it? She doesn't know how to urinate with male genitalia. Oh, she doesn't know what she's doing. Oh, look, she's looking. Oh, that's so funny. Man, I'm dying during laughter in here. You know, when I first saw this in the theater, everyone was laughing really hard at this. I'm like, how? But for the most part, the two most obnoxious parts about this movie, besides the humor, were Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. Now, this technically does qualify as a humor aspect, but whatever. But okay, so the two things with Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is now with The Rock in Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson comes from his wrestling name because that's something that old-time fans could specifically recognize him by. That's why they have that there. Kind of like I am Liam Xavier, Dr. X Henry. They do the fact I'm not actually a doctor. I just have that in there. It sounded cool. Yes, I know I haven't actually legitimately achieved anything for people to significantly call me that, but okay, you get my point. But so basically, there's what good Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movies besides Moana? None. I can't find any on Google or any of these good. I don't think so. Maybe I'll do like a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie marathon or something that I could just... But the thing with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is, oh, look at it, he's so strong, he's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he is so strong. Yeah, I get it, he was a wrestler, and clearly he's known by something due to be The Rock, so that obviously means that he succeeded at one point, and I mean, like, he looks pretty tough, he could easily kick my ass any day, but why is the joke always, oh, look at him, he's so strong? Also, they don't play along with this cleverly, because I guess the other character that is specifically taking a possessive form of him is someone who's scared of everything, basically. So, yeah, that's really funny. And Kevin Hart is, oh, get it? It's so funny. Kevin Hart, get it? It's funny because he's pointing out that he's short and he's black. Like, I've really not seen Kevin Hart in that much form of comedic media, but every time I've seen him in any form of comedic media, he's like, oh, get it? It's funny because I'm black and I am short, and that's very visually clear, and I'm frequently pointing it out for comedic purposes. I'm not safe from the movie trope of the black guy dies first, you know, that's fine or whatever, and, you know, people do that for comedic purposes, and they specifically don't seem to be offended by that, and they like that. That's okay. You could choose to make that a legitimate part of your comedic act. Yeah, but here, it's just really obnoxious because, well, yeah, the humor is terrible. Also, there are a ton of scenes that don't make any sense. So, this is a movie about people getting sucked into the video game, and we are watching the people in the video game trying to get out. That is the prescriptive. We are the viewer of the people inside the video game. We are not the player of the video game. We are watching inside the video game. We are not specifically operating what it is. So there's like scenes of like the villain side of the story. Like, we are seeing this in the prescriptive of, yeah, we are watching these characters that are stuck in the game. We are not playing the game, so it would not make sense to see these. Why do we have these scenes? Plus, it doesn't have the third act, and the plot is overall garbage anyway, especially the third act, because, well, yeah, there's a filler part of, like, oh, it turns out there's a secret gem that everybody's fighting over that wasn't really established ever in the entirety of the film, but, okay, but basically, there are some things that try to add climactic elements, which I just absolutely hate. Now, remember when I said this film had so many things missing, so it's basically just a filler movie, because I can say about 90% of the scenes with character, I mean, pretty much everything, honestly, that's not, I guess, the outside, but yeah, about like 5% of this movie isn't filler, because, well, storyline, I guess, no. Anyway, well, there's things like, oh, they find another dude who's been stuck in the video game for 20 years, like, okay. What is the point of this? He adds absolutely nothing to the story. They're trying to be climactic. Another thing that they do is they add lives to the characters. I mean, like, yeah, sure, they all lose a life along the way, but, like, it just doesn't generally make sense or just doesn't challenge the audience in any way whatsoever. You know, this movie is a perfect example that just proves that Sony is such just a cash-grabbing company, cashing on every license that they get the rights to, or just anything that they happen on, like, oh, look at all these interesting films based off of already existing properties that they can just get their hands on. Oh wow, they're totally not doing that. Oh look, they have some use of Spider-Man, it's how, so look, Oh, look, they're making an animated Spider-Man. Oh, they're making a Venom movie because they can't have Spider-Man, but they have the Venom license still, I guess. So let's do that. It looks like shit. And why is he so, like, moist? Oh, they got the Ghostbusters license. Oh, look, they're making another Ghostbusters movie because they could get a license, although absolutely nobody demanded that, and they did absolutely nothing right with it. Yeah, that's on the list of things I could review. But, okay, you get my point. They're just one of those cash-in companies. Any license that they can get, they'll do it. They will make it. Look at some of their upcoming films. Oh yeah, I'm sure these licensed properties look really good. Oh, okay, so basically, Jumanji is about, well, the original Jumanji is about the board game elements coming to life in reality and then the family trying to finish the game. That's a creative concept. I don't like those movies. Well, there's two of them. I don't like them, but they have a certain appeal, and this legitimately makes sense. But this new rebooted franchise that's coming out, it doesn't even have to do anything with Jumanji. It feels like it's a film that's already been done 20 times. Up, they get sucked in the video game, they gotta go into the video game and then stop it. Also, the film just doesn't look interesting. A lot of the special effects are atrocious. Yeah, I know. You had like all these nice jungle mountain areas, but it just all looks bland and unappealing. It doesn't do anything creative with it. And I mean, like, overall, yeah, when I said they nailed the visual aspects, I think a lot of the clothing and the character design looks pretty decent. It's just mainly the acting what ticks me off. It's just so uncreative and has no real reason to be Jumanji. Yeah, sure, they reference the original film, what, like twice? But that doesn't do anything. This doesn't even need to be Jumanji. I'm Dr. X Henry, and I'm signing off.